this unit covered an awful lot of ground. There were a lot of acronyms, and each one of the metadata schemas that we looked at in this unit really deserve a lot more time, a lot of work, a lot of years, a lot of thinking by really smart people has gone into creating each one of these metadata schemas. So this was not intended to be comprehensive in any way. This was just a very sort of high level, honestly, introduction to the range of uses for metadata schemas, the range of approaches to creating metadata schemas, illustrated by a few examples that are commonly used schemas. What have we done in this unit? First of all, one of the primary uses of metadata schemas is to describe objects. This we already knew. We've talked about this all the way back to the unit on Dublin Core, but we had this illustrated by a couple of metadata schemas that are completely different in scope from Dublin Core. We looked at a few descriptive metadata schemas out of the many, many that exist in the world. For example, we looked at CDWA, which is a descriptive metadata schema for art objects. And we looked at 3 thesauri, try saying that 10 times fast, 3 thesauri, that can be used to provide values to the elements that are specified in CDWA. The 3, of course, were art and architecture thesaurus, the thesaurus for graphic materials, and the thesaurus of geographic names. CDWA and the 3 thesauri. Also, we looked at Darwin Core and EXIF, which are also descriptive metadata schemas, but with completely different scopes, describing completely different kinds of resources for different users, for different user communities, etc. Then we looked at purposes for metadata other than description, for administration, for providing information about how to preserve resources, how to manage digital objects, how to provide data about provenance and the history of objects. And then we got to METs, which sort of encompasses all of those other things. METs has a very specific use case, right? Its use case is for managing repositories of digital objects, but its scope is very broad. Everything you might ever possibly ever want to say in the context of managing repositories of digital resources. Then, oh, by the way, some metadata is intended for human consumption, for example, CDWA or Darwin Core, and some metadata schemas are intended for computers and networked systems to use them. For example, CDWA is for humans, but CDWA Lite, the XML version, is for computer systems. EXIF can be interpreted by humans, particularly with a viewer like the one that we were using earlier, but really it's for computer systems. I've said it many times, but I'll say it again. There are a ton of metadata schemas out there in the world, and we've only just seen the tip of the iceberg here. And in this entire course, we're really only going to just see the tip of the iceberg. Now, this site, the Taxonomy Warehouse, is a large, but still not entirely complete list of metadata schemas in different arenas for different uses, right? Do you need a thesaurus to describe railways, offshore drilling, I don't know, arts and crafts, medicine, the military? Someone out there has created a metadata schema for you, for that particular purpose, with that particular set of entities in them, recognizing the particular types of objects in that arena for the particular user community, right? Any obscure corner of the universe you can possibly think of, someone has already created a metadata schema. Or if you don't want to use anyone else's metadata schema, because as we know, standards are like toothbrushes, you can just create your own. So that's all for today. Good night, good work, sleep well.